And welcome back once again to the Cocked Dice for another solo game of Perilous Tales. Tonight we are playing the monster from the sewers, and we have a sewers board set up and ready to go. Our heroes starting on this side over here at the top of the sewer, coming through the main sewer entrance. Playing the whole mat is solid enough to walk on, so although this is a water mat, I thought it looked cooler, but I'm going to let our heroes move around it because there's no rules for jumping and swimming, but it just looks awesome. We've gone for the encircling setup for the threat markers tonight, so they're around the centre and then 3 down the back lines. Our 3 objectives for the night are get evidence, kill the villain and flip the switches. The 3 switches are 1, 2, 3 here. We'll imagine that flipping the switches floods the sewer, washes out whatever the monster is. In addition to our villains, we also have 3 events under the threats. So we have putrid stench, slimy underfoot, and they're in the water, which is going to be utterly horrible. The rules tonight we are playing is version 2.2, I think, off the top of my head. It's the latest version on the website as of 16th of June, thereabouts. Whenever I last downloaded a copy. So there we go. I'll get you introduced to our teams for tonight's game. Here we are with our heroes for tonight's game. We, of course, have Butch Sullivan at the front, back again with Tough Guy and Crazed. We have Eliza next to him. She's back again with Hair Trigger. We have Marcus at the back, who we've not seen for a while. He's our medic for tonight's game. We've got Mr. Patterson carrying his handy lamp, torch, binoculars. It's binoculars, but it's going to be a lamp because you're underground tonight. And finally, our new addition for tonight's game is Inspector Duchampe, who is coming along with a camera. And here we are with the villains for tonight's game. We have the big guy at the back first of all. He is being our demon butcher for tonight. He has been hiding in his sewery underground lair and grabbing people from the streets and butchering them, I suppose. He's helped out by these 2 here, who are going to be our evil urchins. They've got some interesting abilities that prevent characters from using upgrades, and they're ducky and divey out of combat, so they'll be quite hard to pin down and actually get rid of. And then I have lots and lots and lots of rat swarm bases. You're obviously supposed to only have 2 for the actual threats, but for every turn there's a rat swarm in play at the start of the villain's phase, you generate another rat swarm. So I've got 7 of them, I think. I've painted some extra ones this week just to make sure I had plenty. And obviously there's from the shadows as part of the threat check, which can also generate extra villains. So we see that happen quite a lot. So there we have it. Let's get over to our game. Right, let's take it away with the first turn of the game for the night. Mr. Patterson, the lighthouse keeper, who has travelled far and wide with Butch & Co, is going to shine his mighty lantern over here at this threat marker. So we're going to take a skill test for that. He gets a difficulty of 3 and scores a 3 and a 7. So that's a success. We're going to flip that over, and that's a number 5. Number 5 tonight is a rat swarm. So not the world's most dangerous foe. That's a pretty good way to go. Next up, we are going to move. I need to keep Duchampe a little safe. I need to keep Marcus a little safe. So I think we'll go with Eliza. She's going to come down here, 4 inches to there. She's going to stay outside of 6 of that and 6 of that. So she's going to pop herself just down to here. And because she has a hair trigger, she gets a free eyes. I've forgotten the skill again. It was called I'll cover you, but she's going to go on I'll cover you type of skill. Keep her 6 inches from that. I can have to move it. Oh, keep her 6 inches away from that one as well. Would help. I think next up we're going to have Marcus. He's just going to move 4 inches down to there, staying outside of 6 of that one. And he's going to go on I'll cover you as well, or eyes open, eyes watched, watch out. I wanted to check the rules now. I've completely forgotten what it's called since last week. Eyes peeled. Marcus is going to go on eyes peeled, the correct name for the skill. Just terrible at this. Duchampe is going to go to the same. He's going to pop up to there and go eyes peeled up there. Butch will not trash the place. He's going to move 4 inches over to here. It's outside of 6 for the moment. And he's going to jump down essentially. Before he takes a second action, or for his second action, he's going to use call over on Lighthouse Keeper, and he's just going to move down to here. Keep that bunch nicely keep that bunch bunched up. Keep that group bunched up a little bit so they can defend each other. Butch is going to jump down, dunk, like that, which triggers this marker because he's now within 6. That ends our hero's turn. We next place a rat swarm in contact with Butch as he ambushes him. We have a couple of eyes peeled to do, so I don't think Marcus can, strictly speaking, shoot, but I'm going to save him because I'm assuming you can only eyes peeled once per turn. So Eliza's going to shoot first. She's got 3 dice on the rats. She gets a difficulty of 6 and scores a 10 and a 7. That's pretty good going. So that's 3 successes. A rat swarm only has 4 wounds, so it's left with 1 wound. We'll next do the inspector. He's going to do exactly the same again. Oh. Try not to trash the camera. He gets difficulty of 3 and scores a 6 and a 10. So that rat swarm doesn't even make it into contact with Butch. Comes straight off. Remove that, and that is the turn done. And so begins our villainous turn. The threat level is currently 1, so we're going to roll the dice with advantage. So it's difficulty 7. We get a 4. That is 0 successes. So it's just a threatening overture, which is a really good start. So that just moves the threat level up to 2. There are no villains on the table at the moment, so we'll move swiftly on to our hero's turn. First up, Mr. Patterson. He's going to take a look at this marker over here. We're going to roll a skill check. He gets difficulty 1 and scores a 5, so that is a success. He turns it over, that's an 8. That's utterly horrible. They're in the water. So it's an event, it's a one-off. Not bad, but that means I've got quite a free run over to the switch over there. So Eliza's going to go next. She's going to move down to here and just stay outside of 6 of that threat marker down there. And then she will go on eyes peeled. Duchampe here will move to this step here, staying outside of 6 of all of these. And he will also go on eyes peeled. Marcus is going to move to there, also staying out of 6 of all of these, and go eyes peeled. Butch will order the Lighthouse Keeper for his first action, who's going to move all the way around to down here, staying just outside of 6 of that one. In fact, he can't do that, so he's going to jump off here, move down a little bit like that. In fact, no, he needs to stay. He needs to see things. He's going to stay up there. So in that case, I'm going to activate Butch. Butch is going to move, and then he's going to do eyes peeled, and he will trigger this number 8 here. Number 8 is they are in the water. When revealed, the revealer and every hero within 6 inches of the threat marker must take a horror check with disadvantage. So Butch, being Butch, doesn't have to take horror checks because he has crazed, which I've just remembered. So therefore that triggers and is discarded once it's been revealed. So that is the end of our hero's turn. We're on to the villain's turn, and it is threat level 2. So we take a threat check, we take the 7 away, so we have a difficulty of 5 and a pair of 6s. That is 2 successes. 2 successes is the Noose Titans, and this is where the trouble begins. That one will trigger. That's number 2. Put those out of that. That one in like that. That one in over there. So number 2 for the night is an evil urchin. So he's going to appear over here because I think Marcus is the closest model. Pickpocket. Heroes within 3 inches of an evil urchin may not use any upgrade. Oh dear, so I'm going to have to kill people quite rapidly. He is right up to it. Basically, it's all of them. It's not everyone but Butch. Which means Eliza can't use hair trigger, surely. But she went on hair trigger last turn. So I'm going to assume she can. We're going to start popping some shots at the evil urchin because these three are all on eyes peeled. I'm going to say these two can see him. So we'll start with Inspector Duchampe. He gets difficulty of 10 and fluffs his attack completely. We'll do Marcus next. He gets difficulty 9, also fluffs his attack. So I might just use Eliza there. I think Eliza's going to shoot him as well. I need to get some shots off. Oh, we've got 2 cocked dice there. Let's reroll those 2. So we have got difficulty 1. We scored a 10, a 6 and a 4. That'll be 4 damage. An evil urchin has 3 wounds. He runs across and Eliza guns him down as he comes over the tops here. He is a goner. That's it for all the... Oh, no, it's not. That one triggers as well because it's within 6 of Butch. So that's number 4. That is a rat swarm. Butch is going to take a shot at it with his, so he moved, and then went, oh, actually, can he? No, because after his second move, he triggers, so he can't have gone eyes peeled. So that's going to appear right in front of Butch, and there's nothing I can do about that. So that is the end of the Noose Titans. We've got threatening overtures to do. So I'll increase the threat level to 3. And as it's the villain's turn, the rat swarm will attack Butch. The rat swarm is skill 4, attacking Butch. It got a difficulty 5, that's okay. He scores a 1, a 3, a 5 and a 7, so we've got 2 successes there against Butch. Butch ignores the first damage and takes a single point of damage tonight. And that ends the villain's turn. We are back to our heroes. I think Butch is going to have to go first here. He's going to have to try and kick that rat swarm to pieces a little bit. So he's going to go straight ahead and give it a stomp. He gets difficulty 10 and fluffs his attack completely. We'll go again. Second action. And I'll roll the one in the actual dice box. So he gets difficulty of 5. It's only skill 4, so that's fine. He scores 2 successes against it. So he does 2 damage to the rat swarm. And as final activation, he's going to have to do it again, unfortunately. Oh, this time he stomps all over it. Clearly his big stompy army boots are excellent at killing rats. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. It goes up to 6 damage and the rat swarm is dead. So Eliza is going to do a double move to get her right up to this. So she doesn't have enough to interact with it, but she's got enough to get to there and be outside of range of these two for triggering them. I better do Mr. Patterson before I forget him. He's going to have a look at this one down here. He gets difficulty 8, but just about squeezes through with a 10 for a success. That's a 3. That's the other evil urchin. So we've got 1, 2, 3 at the back here, and one of those is the big bad. And it's possibly one of these two. So I'm going to have to get these Duchampe and Marcus moving and ready to do some action. So we're going to move down here, and they're both going to go with their second action on eyes peeled, and obviously Eliza gets it for free. So there we have the end of our hero's turn. We'll move on to the villainous phase. Now we haven't triggered any markers this turn, so it's just going to be a threat check. It's currently threat level 3. Let's roll that. We get difficulty 8 and a single success, which is Noose Titans. Yep, there we go. So let's move some of these in a little bit. 1 inch in, 1 inch in, and these two will both move an inch this way, an inch this way, and both trigger on Eliza. So we'll do this far one here. It's a number 7. Slimy underfoot. When revealed, the revealer must pass a skill check or be immediately knocked down. This might not be good for Eliza. Off she goes. Oh no, she's fine. So she's got a skill of 3, difficulty of 3, and scores a 5. So she is not knocked down. However, that stays in play and creates a bit of a bubble that we don't really want to fight in around here. So next up, we'll reveal this one down here. That is a number 6, Putrid Stench. So that is the hero. That's actually probably one of the better ones. This threat marker remains in play. All heroes within 6 inches suffer disadvantage on all attack actions. So I just need to stay away from that. That's clearly a particularly stinky part of the sewer. So we need to kind of fight our way around that. Which means this marker right on the corner over this side, you can't quite see it, but it's down here, is the big bad. So there's no enemy activations to do. I'm going to move the camera and we'll move on to the next turn. Moving swiftly into our hero's turn, we shall get moving. We'll get going again. So we'll trigger Eliza first of all. She's going to interact with this switch using the interact skill. First thing she'll do is a focus action to give her an extra dice. Oh no, it doesn't. It gives her the advantage, and then she'll make a skill check against that. So that takes it down to a 4. So she has successfully flipped that switch. So we'll flip that off the board and we'll increase the threat level to 5, as it should be. And that's a victory point in my hands. That's a good start, but it's now getting dangerous. So Patterson is simply going to go on eyes peeled. I'm going to stay outside of 6. Butch is going to, the minute I move him within 6, I'm going to trigger it. He's going to move to here, just outside of 6 of that. Marcus is going to stay outside of 6 and come up to here and go on eyes peeled. Duchampe will do the same. He's going to come to here. In fact, eyes peeled, eyes peeled, eyes peeled, eyes peeled, and Duchampe will trigger it there. And he triggers number 3. That's the second evil urchin. We're just going to try and pop him off. I can't remember which model I used last time, so we'll use this one. And that is the end of our hero's phase. However, I've got 4 people essentially to shoot at him. So we're just going to try and gun him down on the way up here. So we'll start with the Lighthouse Keeper, since he get the first shot off. He scores a difficulty of 6 and gets a single success. So that's 1 damage on the dude, the urchin. Marcus will fire next. He gets a difficulty of 2. Obviously that increases to a 5. It's shooting. And that's 1, 2, 3 successes. So that is the urchin killed before he even gets into contact. And that's the end of the turn. We shall do a threat check. It's threat level 5. So we take the 7 away. It is difficulty of 1, which means we get 5 successes. Of course we do. That is from the shadows. So spawn a new minion within 1 inch of a heroic model with the fewest friendly models. So that's either going to be 3 inches. He has 1 friendly model. She has 1 friendly model. So it's going to be a 50-50 chance. We'll just roll a quick dice in a moment. A 1 to 5, it's Eliza. Anything else? It is up to Mr. Patterson. So that spawns there. Then apply Crawling Chaos, so we take horror checks all round. So we'll start with Mr. Patterson, who's been jumped on by a swarm of rats. He got 6. Oh, he's been knocked down. That's no good. It was going so well. Marcus, he gets 5 and just about passes. Inspector Duchampe gets a 6 and just about passes. Butch is immune, and Eliza gets a 9 and just passes with a 9 on her success dice. Okay, then we do the Crawling Chaos, so that moves an inch. This one moves an inch in and triggers. Oh, we've done that one. Totally forgetting that. These have been revealed already, so they don't move. And finally we do Threatening Overtures, which takes the threat level up to 6. I am running out of time. The only enemy to activate is the rat swarm, who's going to bite the poor old lighthouse keeper. He's got a skill of 4. He's got the advantage because he's on the floor. So he got difficulty 6 and scores no successes at all. The rat swarm doesn't do well there. It's a pack hunter, so after it's activated, and I forgot this last time, so it does stuff. It acts as a lurker, so it's going to hoof it back this way. It shouldn't have the other one shouldn't have stayed in contact with Butch. So that's going to move its way all the way back there towards the this threat marker over in the corner. So that's the end of the villainous phase. We shall go back to our heroes. Butch is going to activate first. He's going to order Eliza to move. And he's going to order her to move again, so she's in contact with this. Now that's slimy underfoot, so that's the attack actions one, so that's fine. I will do her next. She's going to do the same again as she did last time. She will focus first of all, think really hard, and flip that switch. She has the advantage, so she has a difficulty of 6, but scores a 5 and a 2, which is not enough. Butch only has 1 action left, so he is going to go on eyes peeled, because if this thing moves, she's going to get it in the face, which won't be very comfortable for her. Lighthouse Keeper is going to stand up. He's going to take a quick pot shot at this marker down, this rat swarm down here. He got a difficulty 8. He does score a 10, however, and scores a pair of wounds on it. It's not quite enough to kill it, but it's not bad. Duchampe is going to move 4 inches over here. He's also going to shoot at it. He gets difficulty 8 and no successes at all there. And finally, Marcus will move up to the top here, and he is going to go on eyes peeled. So I've got Marcus and Butch covering Eliza, and Eliza, of course, gets eyes peeled for free. That'll be it. That is the end of the hero's turn. We're going to move on to our villains. There's a rat swarm on the table. That was foolish. I was meant to kill the extra rat swarm. So they have the skill from the sewers. So if at least 1 rat swarm model is in play at the start of the villain's phase, select a random hero that is more than 3 inches away from any villainous model and spawn a new rat swarm in contact with it. So Duchampe is in 3 inches, so it can't be him. So we've got a d6 back here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll roll it. Re-roll a 5 or a 6. 1, 2. It's Marcus. So it spawns down here because it's got to spawn nearest the villainous board edge. So first of all, we'll do Marcus. He gets difficulty 10 and fluffs it. Next we shall do Eliza. She gets difficulty 7 and fluffs it as well. That's that done. Next we will take a threat check. It is threat level 6. And it has the advantage as always. So we get a 4 as our lowest dice there. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes tonight. Crawling Chaos again. So we'll start with the Lighthouse Keeper at the back. He passes his horror check. Then on to the Inspector. He just passes it. Then on to Marcus. He fails it and falls over. He's going to get chomped. Now we're on to Eliza down here. She fails it as well. She's going to run away. She's going to run 4 inches back round here. That's actually really good. Thank you, Eliza. That's a useful thing to do because then that's not going to trigger now. And Butch finally is immune to horror checks, so does not care in the least. Next we do Noose Titans, so this will move in an inch. And then we do Threatening Overture, and we take the threat level up to 7. Next, it's enemy activations. So I'm going to do the wounded one first because these are slightly more complicated and I need to check the rules. If there are no other villainous models, use the lurker behaviour. Otherwise, first check this. After resolving the check, the villainous model takes the noted action if it's able to do so. So it is going to attack a hero. No, it can't currently attack a hero. Next, he's going to do the next one, which is move advance, which is 6 inches towards the target hero. So that's the nearest friendly, enemy hero model, friendly hero model. You know what I mean? So that's going to move up to Duchampe, and then it's going to attack. So it is skill 4. It gets difficulty of 2 and scores 3 successes there. That's Duchampe on 3 damage. The other rat swarm will do the same, so it is in combat with Marcus. So it can use its activation, then it attacks. So it has the advantage this time, so it throws the 10 away, scoring a difficulty of 2. Marcus is only skill 2, so that's fine. So he gets 3 successes on Marcus. So that's 3 wounds on Marcus as well. Can live with all of this. And that will be it for the end of the turn. We're going to go back to our heroes now. So first things first, Patterson is going to move down to here. And then he's going to kick the rats. So because he's attacking with a friendly model who is engaged with it, he is going to get the advantage. Skill 2 test. He gets a difficulty 4, scores a pair of successes, which will kill that rat swarm. Next, Marcus is going to stand up for 1 action. He's then going to stamp on the rats, again with the advantage because of a friend in contact. So he gets a difficulty of 4 and scores a single success there. So this rat swarm takes 1 wound. Duchampe will attack it again with advantage. He gets difficulty 1, scores 2 more damage, so it's up to 3. And he'll have to attack it again with his last action. He gets a difficulty of 2 and scores 3 successes. So it is well and truly stomped. Next, Butch is going to order Eliza to move forwards again, 4 inches back into contact with this. Butch is then going to move onto here, stop there, and go on eyes peeled for his 3rd action. Eliza, last of all, will focus and then interact again. This is a little bit better. She gets a 2 for her difficulty and scores a 7 and a 10. So she flips that switch as well. And I increase the threat level to 8. The villainous turn. It is now threat level of 8. Rolling with the advantage for the threat check. Rolling all the dice in the box. So we have a difficulty of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes from the shadows. It's going to be one of these two. 1 to 3, it's Patterson. It's not Patterson, it's Eliza. She gets a rat swarm next to her. Next up, we do Crawling Chaos, so it's some horror checks. So we'll do Eliza, she's down here. She passes just about. He's immune. Marcus, he passes. Duchampe, it's 9, he fails, so he runs off. 4 inches, takes him just about up to that step there. And finally, Mr. Patterson, the Lighthouse Keeper, we get a 10. He also fails. He runs back up here as well. He's probably about there actually because he's a little further away. Okay, that was pretty bad. Then we do the Noose Titans. This moves an inch. It's now within 6 of Butch. So we flip that. It is number 1. Immediately on flipping that, increases the threat level to 9. He comes out. He ambushes, so Butch gets to fire before he ambushes. So unless Butch is incredibly lucky here, he gets a difficulty of 5 and scores just 2 successes. That puts 2 damage on him. And then he will move straight into Butch because he is the closest friendly model. Okay, and then finally, and this is where it goes wrong, threatening overture, we add 1 to the threat level, and that becomes threat level 10. Next we'll do the activations. I'm going to use the rat swarm first because it's the most boring one of the two. It gets a difficulty of 7 against Eliza. It scores 3 successes. It does 3 damage. Next, it's the big boy. So he has difficulty. He is skill 6. Now he has one special ability which is going to be relevant. The other one's probably not going to be relevant. Is when he rolls a 9 or a 10, it causes 2 hits instead of 1. So it's not just a 10 as a critical, it's a 9 or a 10. Let's go. So he gets difficulty of 7. So he scores 5 hits against Butch. That takes Butch up to 6 damage. And that's the end of his activation. So yeah, the problem here, and the reason I probably shouldn't have flipped that switch, is it's now going to end the game. Because we go through the end of game kind of requirements. Obviously the master isn't dead. We haven't met all the objectives for the end game conditions. The party are not all dead, they're all alive still, but the threat level has hit 10. So if I hadn't have flipped that switch, it wouldn't have increased the threat level by 1, which is a bit of a silly mistake of mine. I would have survived another round. I could have potentially photographed the villain, scoring 3 more victory points, and I may have even killed him for another 3. So I messed up there. That was a bit of a mistake on my part, rushing to flip all these switches. My brain was in the last game where I just didn't move quick enough to hit things. It's unfortunate. But there we have it. So Butch and Co managed to flip 2 of the switches in the underground sewer system, and unfortunately don't quite get there in time before the Demon Butcher appears to cause chaos. And I would suspect at this point our heroes will most likely make their way out of the sewers, leaving the Demon Butcher alone in the dark and the cold and the wet with his rats. So let's do a quick count of the victory points for tonight's game. So from the standard victory point list, the leader is alive at the end of the game. That's 1 point. I didn't lose a single teammate this week, which is polar opposite of last week. So that takes us up to 2 victory points. We then have our objectives for the night. So we didn't get evidence, so that leaves us on 2. We haven't killed the villain, so we're still on 2. And finally, we have managed to flip the switches. We flipped 2 of them. So that's worth 2 victory points. That takes us to 4. That takes us to a near thing, not the party's proudest moment. There we have it, folks. As always, thank you very much for joining us here at the Cock Dice. Please like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel for all the latest updates, and we'll see you again next week with another exciting game. Good night.